Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
It's colorful, painterly Friday.
Yes.
Is it cold?
It's getting there. It's becoming cold.
Okay.
So
It's
this
raining.
month we are going to be doing a whole lot of materials, but I just a couple of materials I would suggest they're good to know, and the remaining maybe you can suggest what you would like to know, so I can explore that also with you. Today we're going to do glass or transparent objects. So pretty much anything that is transparent, you can use the same kind of rules and illustrate it. We'll do as many as we can from this list, and the rest you can practice. The principles remain the same, and you can practice those to get the right illusion. Let me just share the images with you once, so I can speak about it. I've tried to look for a range of glass colors and also items inside glass. So I have some empty glass containers like this green bottle. Then this is a transparent jar. There's another transparent bottle. And then there are others containers which have liquids in them. This is whiskey, iced tea, honey. All three are the same color or similar colors. So how by the container, by the embellishings, or by certain standard items that go in together, the size or shape of the container, you can tell them apart. But other than that, it's they're pretty much the same color as far as we are concerned. And then also you have one more, which is a more not very viscous liquid, but it has this picture I like because it has so many different colors, and the glass part of it is almost hidden in that. So to start with, we are going to go past all these and go to just the glasses. One of the important things about drawing transparent objects is getting the shape right. So we'll do a little basic pencil sketch of this glass, which has water in it also. This one is pretty simple to make because, which will become simple to make because this does not have any liquid, so there's no refracted images to be seen. And this one has a little bit of the refracted image of the base of the glass, but also more importantly, it's got these two shadows on either side with a highlight right in the middle of the shadow, which is rather unusual. You'll see that here as well. And all these shadows are typical of transparent objects. Even if you have a blob of water, a drop of water, in the shadow space, there will be a little bit of a highlight. So I'll show you a blob of water also. I'll just look for a reference image. But till then, I'm going to just quickly demonstrate how to illustrate this glass, and then you can begin. You might need to use the eraser a bit on this today. So I'm going to not, I won't stop you because this can be a little harrowing. But don't stress about this. A glass of water is often seen as a very challenging topic to illustrate. Basically, transparencies. And these challenges are thrown at artists or art students by non-artists just to test how well can you draw. So don't be afraid of these things. So to start with, honestly, make a loose sketch of the oval shape that you see of the glass. Our perception is often that we see the glass either too wide or too narrow. So draw the shape that you perceive and then evaluate it along with the image in front of you, the reference image. If you can see these two together, my oval and the top oval of the glass, you'll notice that mine has become a little narrow. Only after you make the first shape can you make the adjustment. And while you're making the adjustment, you will think that maybe you're doing it wrong. But trust your eyes. Don't let your brain interfere with what you see. And the reason I'm saying that today an eraser might be good to have is because you will need to make frequent adjustments. And I want you to make frequent adjustments at any stage that you feel you have more or better information. Like, for example, even when we're drawing the sides of the glass, we may think that the glass is very narrow. After you've drawn this line, if you objectively say, okay, this is the vertical line. If this line goes towards 6 o'clock, this line doesn't go towards 4 or 5 or just somewhere closer to 6. This is the best way that you can get your lines going in the correct direction. And now the base, rank beginners would want to make this flat, but I think the two of you, I think, are now, you know that it's going to be a round. And this round will be much rounder than the base of the glass. The other thing also is symmetry. All kinds of glasses are very difficult or painful to draw because we often can't maintain that symmetry. Once you're comfortable with the shape, the size, the proportion, then you can start adding the water. It's a very light line here, and it has to be drawn in such a way that part of it is hidden by the lower edge or the edge of the glass that's in the foreground. You don't see any water over here because it looks transparent. This is where a lot of our shading is going to be. Then we have a few lines which look concentric, but they're not. They come closer to the bottom part of this oval. These are all still just guidelines. And from here now, we can move forward. So would you like to draw up to this point and then I can guide you with the shading? Make sure you keep your reference image in the same plane as the drawing, huh? If you're having trouble with the curves, just let me know. Then I will give you an exercise with which you can visualize these curves. Yeah, let me check the adjustment. Do you see what's happening at the base here?
Yeah.
Your curve is flatter. So I'm gonna,
Yeah.
before you change that, just let me show you one exercise. Whenever we are drawing curved objects, we have to visualize a spiral that we see in which the circles keep changing their width. Okay. Now, if you look at an object, let me just get a glass and I'll show you how it is. Okay, if I keep this glass like this, you would see it as a rectangle. Okay, so this is without any perspective drawing. But if I were to tilt it slightly, you start seeing the oval. And if I keep tilting it further and further and further to 90 degrees, you will see a full circle, right? So depending upon the angle at which we see the circle, it can be either be a straight line or an oval. Okay, I want you to just focus on this, not the whole glass, just this part. And further and further till it becomes a full circle. Now the same thing applies for the base as well. If we see just the base, it's like this. And then as it tilts, it is becoming an oval. And then that also becomes a concentric circle right on top. Now, how our eye receives information from the top and bottom is different. If we keep this at eye level, the bottom is not going to be at eye level naturally. And if we want the bottom at eye level, I will move this to the top and you will see that now I can see the oval of the top, but the bottom is a straight line, is a flat line. Okay, so this difference between the two can be seen in a spiral exercise. So if I were to make, I'll just make two parallel lines. And I'm going to draw an eye level. Everything at eye level is more or less a straight line, whether you're drawing buildings, buildings don't have curved lines, or angular lines. Everything is straight. So this is the eye level. From here, as I go down, I start making a bigger and bigger loop. And right now it's just arbitrary. But as you go lower and lower, you start getting a more and more circular shape of that edge. Likewise, as you start going up, first it's very narrow, then it starts increasing, till eventually it'll become this big. So that if I were to keep this as eye level, I'll also see a narrow oval on top and a narrow oval at the bottom. So at that point, my glass will be somewhat like this, a narrow top here, all the way down to a narrow bottom here. Can you see that? Can you visualize it? Okay, and this is just a matter of us being able to visualize the object in 3 dimension as our eye line changes. Now, in the case of our reference image, the eye line is from the top. So it is somewhere over here. And if the top of the glass is this wide, then this circle will keep widening, even if it becomes narrow and become a much bigger, fatter oval towards the bottom. And that's why when we draw this shape, we have a much rounder oval at the bottom, while the top is narrower, because we are seeing it from the top. Now, with this exercise, just see if you are seeing the bottom differently, Jasmine. What you have drawn is what your brain is interpreting as the bottom of the glass. And unless you start seeing that, like for example, just see at what height is the edge of the side of the glass at the table, and how much lower is the bottom coming. Do it almost like a mechanical exercise without thinking of it as glass. Think of it just as shapes that have a certain dimension. Since we are doing a lot of pencil sketching, please keep a rough paper handy so that you don't erase or smudge all the lead as you go through. Okay, are you seeing it differently now, Jasmine? Are you able to draw it differently?
I erased the
Yes.
previous line.
Yeah, much better. Now keep an eye on that. There's a chance that you might make it even rounder, but right now I think it's looking nice enough.
Okay.
Okay. Shivani, how are you doing?
Same, I also adjusted it.
You adjusted it. All right. Yes. Okay, very nice. All right. Now we can start shading from the smaller areas. We don't necessarily have to go from the top to bottom. So erase the lines that you think were wrong and unnecessary. But keep some of the lines that you may have drawn extra, just so that, like for example, the top, we still have to darken the top. So we don't want to erase everything right now. All right. Now, from here down, just look at the shapes that are made. You have an almost horizontal line halfway down the front. It is almost and completely horizontal. So don't be tempted to draw an oval there. Then you have a few shadowy shapes from the edge. And these shapes will also have different tones. Some places they'll be dark, some places they'll be light. Now, the entire shape that we have in the center is just a clump of amorphous gray shapes. Mostly they can be shaded with horizontal lines. Shade them in a mid-tone and shade them in horizontal lines instead of vertical, because at some places where you don't shade and you have a little bit of the white paper visible, we are going to leave it so that it looks a little like a highlight. Even if it is not exactly in the spot as indicated by our reference image, it will still do the job of looking like a highlight. Once your midtones are down, then you can start filling in a darker detail. But don't be in a rush to shade everything too dark right in the beginning. So the bottom of this shape is slightly rounded, more than the top, less than the bottom. So I want you to be able to just see the gray shape over here. It's almost like a crescent shape. And look at only that with full concentration so that you see only the different shades of gray and their positions. I have often been challenged to draw a glass of water by my friends because they can't, I guess they think this is the toughest to draw. And for years, I used to think transparencies are the toughest to draw. But the reason we think that is not because they're tough to draw as much as we think of them as transparencies. So in our heads, we are going to attempt to draw something that actually cannot be seen. That is why we think that it's really tough. But a transparent object, in fact, is shows very little of itself. So we don't really have to draw too much. We just have to focus on what we see through it. And the shapes we see through it are usually warped. So just by showing warped colors and shades, we are able to convey the illusion of transparency. Are you getting it? If your shapes are not exact, don't immediately erase that. You should get at least 4 different darknesses in just this crescent part.
I don't know if I'm doing it right, but this is what I've got so far.
Let me check 1 minute. Yeah, I think you are on the right track. On the left side, just make the bottom goes up a little higher.
Okay.
It's this bottom line. Just take that a little higher because you've got the size of that crescent pretty okay. This left side is going to be a little challenging for Jasmine, you and me. And the remaining is going to be challenging. On the right side is going to be challenging for Shivani.
Oh,
So
she's a lefty.
she's a lefty. Yeah. So Shivani, when you're shading, hold your pencil from the top. Don't try to do this.
Oh,
Hold
I've
it
been
like that.
doing exactly that.
Are you doing this or you're doing this?
Yes, that.
No, no. Do it like this because this will be a more natural hold. Do it slowly till you become comfortable with this hold. On the after the crescent is done at the bottom of the crescent, it's a similar shadow. But see, there's a little gap on the right side, and there's a small curve over there in negative space. That's very easy for us to draw. So do draw it, don't ignore it. And that kind of divides that shadow into two parts, the shadow on the center and the right. So treat it like that. That will break up your work. So you have to focus on lesser items. And again, that patch also has a horizontal line, almost completely horizontal. Now, when you come to the extreme edges, right, and then later left, right more than left, you'll notice, you'll be able to gauge whether you've got your height right. My height is just slightly lower. This part can come down slightly more than I have drawn, just even an mm or so, and then turn. And this gives me a new bottom for the glass. So this is something that happens as sketching or painting progresses, definitely sketching. As you start filling up spaces, your estimate of space left or occupied by an element of that sketch or the object, that becomes more accurate. And you should pay heed to that information and change the image. Immediately after that space, I have to keep a white area, so I'm going to erase the earlier lines and work with very light lines. And everywhere, very frequently you will see that, especially with glass, there are very thin gaps between some shadows. Those are the telling lines for the material. Now on the left, you don't really see the edge of the glass, so don't make it on the left. Because right here we have the highlight in the shadow. And the central shadow has some kind of texture that can be a little daunting to make. So just make the outline of that shape. Wherever it is fully dark, make it fully dark. There is a certain lightness in this area. Just the, you'll see a stack of all these light parts, the highlights on the left. And that's because that is where the reflection, or I guess the refraction of the light is going in. There's something happening because of which here we have a much brighter spot in the middle of a shadow. Now the trick to make that whole textured bit at the bottom is to just make these lines. Automatically your hand will zigzag. And part of these lines will be exposed. So it'll look like a texture right here. And then you have Antarctica. This little patch at the bottom of glass almost looks like Antarctica on the map. Now here, don't be tempted to make the edge of the glass visible. If it's not visible in the reference image, you don't really need to make it as thick as we might have. Just a simple, very light line on the edge is fine, just for us to see. Okay, how are you doing? Is everything going okay? Do you want me to wait a little bit?
No, I think I'm with you.
Okay, okay. Yeah, Shivani is also with me. Let me just look. Yeah, I think it's looking good, Shivani. What do you think?
I also like it.
Okay, very nice. Oh, very nice, Jasmine. Very good. So you've got your light and mid tones, and once we do the top, you can then strategically start making a few places darker as you become more confident. Okay, now the top, pretty much the same. In the top, there are some differences. So here the middle section, right at the base, is just a light to dark shadow, shading. Again, here, most of the job is done by getting the shape right. And the foreground, the line is very light. So make a line up to which point you want the water to be drawn, and then you can lighten it or almost erase it also completely. That line is just going to be implied. Now, before you start shading, just check if this part is centered. I can already see that mine isn't. There's more gap on the left than on the right. So I'm going to make these guidelines and change the shape of some of these lines here. So often what happens, we don't realize is that our brain has been so hardwired, well hardwired, to pick up these anomalies in nature. It can be something like a straight line in a forest, because straight lines are very unnatural. If you encounter a straight line in a place of nature, your eye is instantly drawn to it because the brain is curious about what it means to have that there. So similarly, if our circles or our curves are misaligned to the center, the brain is instantly attracted to that spot because it wants to check if everything's normal. And I guess you'll appreciate that very often it's these abnormalities that can create very curious artworks also, which delight the brain. Magic is one instance where the brain knows logically some things are supposed to be in one place or should behave in a certain manner, and then the magician will do something and the brain is completely confused. So that which we use as our for our survival can also be tricked for our amusement. And of course, art is also another kind of magic, where we're tricking the brain into believing that what we're showing them is the real thing. So for conventionally, for something as finely shaded, we can use a paper stump, which is just a roll of slightly abrasive paper, which can help you to smooth your pencil shading. And you don't need to do that by just by hand. If you have a stump, then great. If you don't have a stump, just start building your shadows from very light shades up to deeper color shades, tones. So, Jasmine, before I forget, somebody contacted me yesterday, a girl named Uma.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Ah,
yeah. I told her about you. Yeah,
yeah. Very sweet. She's got very nice ideas about
yeah,
retreats and things. Yeah.
yeah. She and I we were together in Ferguson.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
She's done quite a lot, no? She said she's done hospitality, then
yeah,
she's a photographer, and then she was running a resort and whatnot. My goodness.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Dabbling in many things. Yeah,
That's very inspiring always.
yeah.
Shivani, you've studied catering or hotel management?
Hotel management, the full course.
Okay, so that involves catering as well?
Yeah. In
Oh,
India,
okay.
it's the full thing. Everything. Kitchen, front office, housekeeping, and F&B are the four main courses.
Okay. Wow.
And then there's all this extra stuff like law, finance. It's like a really, well-rounded, in my
My
opinion, and
God.
people should all do hotel management. They want to be
Really? That
hotels.
sounds very impressive.
Yeah, I love it. Like nutrition, there were so many extra subjects also. The
Yeah.
four ones, and then all this French and everything was there. So it
Wow.
was, yeah, love it. It's my favorite. Like I'm so glad I did. I was made for it, I think.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah,
Where did
it's
you do
either
where did you do your
in Dadar catering. Dadar,
Dadar?
Goa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, of course. You were with Anu.
Anupama.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just chatting right now. Actually, we are
Oh,
in this one college group. Next year is our 25 years.
really? My goodness.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Wow.
know. Crazy. It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I know. At some point, Shivani, you should organize a retreat in KL.
Most welcome. In fact, I was reading that day that Thailand and Sri Lanka both have made Indian passport visa free for a few months right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll send you that. So I was thinking maybe we should plan something abroad if we wanted, and these two are visa free countries right now.
Of
And it's
course. Why
very
not?
easy to set up. Thailand also,
Yeah.
Sri Lanka also, because I have friends who can probably give me some recommendations. We just need
Yeah,
a
that would be
place.
great.
Yeah. So I was thinking, I didn't think from an art perspective, but I was thinking, oh God, let me take advantage of this travel. Every possible holiday, I just want to go somewhere.
Yeah, because otherwise you miss out on the art retreats staying over there. So you should,
I miss out. Yeah, because I have to follow the dates of schooling and also it's very difficult.
true.
This I just don't
So,
like normality.
mhm. Many
And
members, kids have now flown the coop, so they are available
correct.
to come anytime that is convenient for you. And if you have 4 or 5 places, a place to stay, no, I mean you don't have to have it. It can just be a good enough place for everyone to stay together. Most
Hmm.
meals are outside because we go to different places. We eat and we draw what we eat.
Yeah.
Um, you know how the drill is. So it's just, it'll be a great sketching holiday.
Yeah, I'll think about it
Yeah.
because definitely it's a good opportunity right now.
And it helps to have a local there because now you know so much. And
Yeah,
if you have the time, then excellent. Plus, you have the background of this whole hotel and entertainment. That makes a big difference, huh? I mean, somebody who
Yeah.
has biotechnology background might not be like the best travel guide. So you will
Yeah.
have the right contacts also. You must definitely think about it. And next year, maybe just float the idea. I can
Hmm.
prepare a document and send you what are the requirements, and just
Okay.
look around. If you find it suitable, we will float the idea. If we get enough people, it'll be wonderful.
Yeah, I thought Sri Lanka is a great spot because it's so easy for everybody to travel to,
Yeah,
location
yeah,
wise.
Sri Lanka would be great. I was just speaking yesterday that I haven't been, and I
Yeah.
believe it's just beautiful.
Oh, definitely. Then let's try to do that.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
Because my friend, a Malaysian friend, her husband's Sri Lankan. So I
Okay.
can get that information also.
Oh,
Plus
lovely.
hospitality, though, anyways, we can find. That's not an
Ah,
issue at all. Okay, I'll look into it.
great. This friend of Jasmine's who'd called, she is doing that. She called because she wants to organize these wellness retreats.
Yeah.
Huh.
She has somebody doing yoga, somebody doing meditation, and she's done these at some resort she used to run near Tadoba. So now she doesn't run that resort, I believe, you know?
Yeah, it was her brother's and her resort. So
Okay.
I think they sold the property and now she's going to go to different places, not just Tadoba, So, and yeah,
Correct. So
do that.
she called me regarding this one retreat she wants to do at Murshi in Jan.
Okay.
So that's what got me thinking that lots of people might know of lots of places that we can go to. Wherever you are, you'll know of one or two places where things like that are possible.
Yeah.
Okay, how's it
This,
going?
this is
Ah,
complicated.
yeah, this one is.
Yeah,
I'm still in
that's
the
why I
middle of the
started.
class.
So take it slow. We don't have to do anything more than this today. I don't want to rush you because
Huh.
this is like a, it's like a, the detailing in this is so good that you will be able to see. It's like the matrix. A veil will be lifted after you finish this exercise. So you might as well do it slowly and carefully. And we can come back to glass and bottles next week also. So don't rush.
Okay.
Many times, I must show you, if something like a highlight is visible, many artists do this. They will first shade the entire thing, especially if it is a dark to light shadow. And then they will use a much stiffer eraser. I have that eraser somewhere. Let me just bring it. To just erase points and dots. That is also a perfectly okay technique. Okay. Now that I need it, I can't find it. So the light sections, like over here, you can erase off as well. I tend to avoid this because I don't like to put in some lead and then remove it. I'd rather not put in any lead at all. And then in some cases, you can also use a mechanical pencil instead of a regular pencil because that gives you a sharper tip. So some of your details might require a much finer line. Now remember, when we come to the rim of the glass, there is a thickness. So you will see the dark line only in different parts of that rim. So you rarely ever see one firm line going through. Like right here in the foreground, we have almost like a zigzag, a stretched out zigzag shape. And then there's a gap, and then you have the inside line stretching out towards the right. The whole edge is thick, dark. But as it comes towards the front, there's a gap. So I recommend drawing these parts very slowly to get the exact right shape. Now notice on the right hand side where it was confusing, this part. I've not even shaded this whole thing. So wherever you find yourself confused about too many lines, too many shapes, shadows, whatever, just skip and move on to what you can for sure see and draw. Okay, now after it's done, I can see so many wonky shapes here or there.
Mine doesn't look like water. It just looks like, doesn't look. I'll show.
Let's see. Uh-huh. Yeah, but you know why? Because it doesn't have any mid dark tones yet. That's all. So if I get my hands on your picture, what I would do is just make it still darker in a few places like here, and it will instantly change the what that liquid means.
Okay. So work on it further.
Yeah. But you're on the right track, so that's more important. The shapes are good enough. I would say they're like at 70% right now, but that's bound to happen. Getting 100% correct shapes, if this is the first or second time you're doing it, would be too much of an ask. So we won't even bother with that. But if you look at the top and bottom, you've got the illusion of a glass. That is good. Now, one thing I can suggest to both of you is oh, 1 minute, Shivani. Let me see yours. I didn't know you were holding it up. Oh, nice. Looking very nice. Are you happy with
Yeah,
it?
I think so. It looks, when I look in the camera now, I can
Yeah.
see, yeah. If I look at it directly, I don't see the same thing.
Yeah, same with mine as well. On camera, it looks really good. Very nice.
Yeah.
Now the shadow part is also very important because this image has got a very nice shadow.
Hmm.
So you can this part make it very lightly, just using uh, a fuzzy line. So don't draw a sharp line for the two shadows we see. What we the shadows we have got are is of the liquid that is deeper, and the other is of the glass itself. So you can see that this is almost like a flattened, slightly skewed representation of the same shape. So see how light I have made these lines, because I don't want the lines to be very sharp. If they become very sharp, then there's a chance that this object will start looking more like plastic than glass. It will change its nature. And very lightly, in the lightest tone you can, build the darkness of the shadow, the dark tones. So here I keep the pencil in the same orientation and I don't roll it. So I keep getting a big fat line and I overlap one line on top of the other line. So I get a very smooth finish. Even if you do so much, that's good enough to start with. If you feel you're a little confident, then you can start darkening the tones. And some tones have a deeper line. But appreciate the transparency. And because of the overlap, where the shadow of the rim of the glass overlaps the shadow of the liquid, you have a slightly darker tone. Now, in places like that, you often don't get one even tone through and through. You will get these little white spaces in between. So don't try to go over the same area and hope that your outcome is different. When you see these white patches, focus on just that patch and fill it up so that you don't land up making the whole section dark. You can change the orientation of the pencil if you feel like it. Not the edge, but the orientation, the line that you're making. And that can fill in the ridges, the valleys in between the ridges. And you start getting a much more even outcome.
What about if you smudge it?
Don't use your finger. Use a tool. You can smudge it.
Okay.
So, but remember, when you're using a tool like that, which of course this one has already been used, please wipe it because this will often have residual graphite. And then that will come onto the picture and make it darker wherever it's not needed. But definitely this will help make it smoother. And these sharp white edges, which should have been sharp, they can be recreated with that hard eraser, which unfortunately I don't know where I've kept very safely. Otherwise, I would have shown you. I got it because I said now I need to use it so that I can show the students the tool, and then we haven't done much pencil sketching after that. And that's just now somewhere safely in some bag or some pouch.
Like my scissors the other day. It was very safe. The whole house and everybody was blamed for it.
Where was it? Did you
My
find it
scissors.
eventually?
It was in the art bag because I only had taken it. I usually don't take it outside, but I had
Ah,
like when I was making those boxes, that class you did the
right,
box.
right. Oh yeah, you were out in the park. No?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Everybody got blamed for it in the house. It was so funny.
Now you have to give boxes to everyone.
We get enough already.
Okay, it's 3:40. Jasmine, you said you wanted to leave at 3:45 now?
Yeah, I'm going to
Okay, so do you have any
continue.
questions that I can help you with? Any doubts
I'm going
to
I'm
be?
going to show you whatever shading I've done as of now.
Okay, show me.
It's bit patchy still.
Yeah. Okay. This is okay. So when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at placement. So I think you can extend the curve a little to the right. In the
Okay.
reference image, see that this
Hmm.
shadow reaches a little beyond half point. And I think your circle, the shadow, is reaching at midpoint of the glass. So it can extend a little further. Then it'll become a little more.
It's not it that part is okay. It's not as round as it should be, I think.
Yeah, so it just needs to become bigger. It needs to go
Ah,
all the way till here. That's what I'm
right.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So for the week, we have enough glass for you to sketch, or you can look for more like these.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to check with you all. Next week is the 10th. I think this is the first day of Diwali or something. Are you going to be free? Should we have class, or because it's right in the middle of the day? I don't know if you have some plans. Most people do have some plan or the
I
other.
don't. I can attend.
You can
But
attend. Okay.
yes.
I have something happening, but non Diwali related, but I do have to go.
So on the 10th, do you have something happening? Okay.
Yeah. There's a Ashika's singing competition.
Okay. So then, do you want to, are you all free on the 9th?
I I think I can. I've taken time. Yeah, I think I can do that.
Then we don't miss any class then next week. So then we, instead of the 10th, we'll do it on the 9th, and 10th, then you all can.
Works for
off.
Jasmine?
I'm good.
Ninth?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
works for her. All right.
Let's do 9th.
Okay, cool. So then, should we end the session today? Then anyway, Jasmine has to leave. ठीक है?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye. See you on
Bye.
Thursday.
See.
See you.